Hello, everybody. This is Eddie Davis again, the Modern Medicine Man. Uh, well, I guess everybody's heard about the release of the or the leaked videos, the video regarding Mr. George Floyd. Uh, it's been causing a media buzz ever since it's been released, and I have to make an update based on my being able to view this video. Uh, I'd like to say that uh, it it kind of concerns me that this video was not released earlier. Uh, I am trying to figure out what is the motivation, because I mean, did they want to create a media stir? Did they want to create some drama around the fact of what appeared to happen in that video when Mr. Chauvin had his knee on the neck of Mr. Floyd? We live in strange times, people, and people, they make money off of clicks. So the media had a motive, but then again, we also have to consider the fact that the legal profession has a motive too. Uh, the district attorney decided not to release those videos. Uh, I don't know. Maybe he had some political ambitions. Maybe he couldn't resist the fact that this was a sensational case, or had the potential of being a sensational case. It's an election year. Maybe he had some ties with his political party, that he was trying to promote some agenda. Uh, but I think it's really unfortunate for whatever reason they decided not to release the full video, and there may be more video, but this 8-minute video not being shown with the 8 minutes that George Floyd had the knee on the back of his neck. It really concerns me. It shows that we really have some problems in our society with regard to the justice system and trying to be fair and impartial. Some people say that the legal profession is they have some issues with regard to creating cases or being able to create drama in order to make money. The defense attorneys have, they make money, and the prosecutor, of course, gets a chance to be a part of a big case. In other words, we have lost our perspective on what is really important. There are too many extraneous things going on. People have their own particular interests. Nobody's really concerned about the facts and what's true. And what's really unfortunate about this is that, we have a pandemic going on, and people had no regard for that. They didn't think about what the repercussions would be from not really showing the truth in this situation and inciting people to protest and even to riot. So you had all of these people having their agendas attached to what the incomplete video was showing at the time of the presentation of this case. And like I said, I must admit I was moved by the case. It's almost like a director. So, oh my God, that's a very good scene right there. Let's go with that. Is somebody really that detached from the situation that they're actually sitting back, just manipulating, without any connection to what's going on? Uh, we live in a time where people are that callous. People's concern about money, power, ambition, all of these things come into play. Uh, and we have to find the voices out there who are willing to be reasonable and fair in these situations. We have some problems in our culture, seriously. Uh, it's not just systemic racism; it's systemic foolishness. If you ask me, uh, our values are misplaced, uh, and we're going to have to get back to the point where our values are important and they make sense and they're fair and they're just. But on watching this new video, I'm going to have to do something that the media apparently is not willing to do. I am going to have to reassess my evaluation. I am going to readjust my evaluation with my analysis of Mr. Chauvin in this case. Even though he's had a history of having issues uh, in other cases, I'm not sure this is one of them. Uh, Taking that video out of context, it appeared that Mr. Chauvin was acting unreasonably. But if you consider the behavior of Mr. Floyd, oh my God, he resisted. His resistance was extreme. His behavior was extreme. It's almost like he's having a psychotic episode, but you can't tell whether it's psychosis from being psychotic or whether it's just complete medication or a combination thereof. Uh, None of those policemen are psychiatrists. None of them are medical doctors, but they do know how to assess and to consider situations where a person may be having excited delirium as a consequence of being high on certain drugs. The history in the store where the store manager called them and told the person that Mr. Floyd was unable to control himself. And clearly you see that in this video. He's almost like a baby. He's asking for his mama even before he got on the ground. I mean, all this stuff he was going through, it was just, oh my God. I'm surprised they had as much patience as they did. They were patient with this man, really. I mean, I know a bunch of cops, as soon as he started falling to the ground, they would have picked him up and body slammed him. Okay, these people were really kind of patient with Mr. Floyd. He was asking for much more. He was being passive aggressive, like they said. Oh, don't shoot me. Oh, you're gonna shoot me, officer. Oh, that's passive aggressive stuff. You know, it's still aggressive. It's just a roundabout way. It's a sly way. And people who are aware of it, it's offensive. People pretend to be one way, but they're actually, you got to watch out for them. Like I said, one guy was evaluating the video. He said, man, yeah, you have to be careful about passive aggressive people because they'll be acting one way. The next thing you know, they got your gun. Okay? So, analyzing this video, I'm going to have to say Mr. Chauvin was really doing. He went beyond his what some people would do. A lot of people would not have had the patience that they did, but because they were out in the public and they know that there are video cameras around, you don't see overt racism and overt bad behavior by cops because they have to be aware of who's watching, and they got body cameras on, you know. So, and this footage from this video was based on a body cam, one of the officers, and Mr. Floyd would not get in the car. They tried over and over and over again. This man even asked to be put on the ground. That's why, well, was one of the reasons he was on the ground. And then again, uh, someone put an article online that showed that the Minneapolis Police Department had a protocol to deal with people in Mr. Floyd's condition. Excited delirium, and it included the use of the knee to the neck. It's a part of their instructions for dealing with people who are so out of control that they are a risk to others and they're a risk to themselves. Mr. Floyd was clearly a risk to himself and to other people. He could have been driving the car, like someone said. He could have driven the car and injured someone because he was so out of it. The people who were riding with him were in danger. Uh, so I have to make this reevaluation and say that based on the Minneapolis Police Department's protocol for dealing with people like Mr. Floyd, that Mr. Chauvin pretty much followed the protocol as it's written. Okay? Uh, and, still some people will say, well, he shouldn't have had his knee on his neck. One guy even had an argument with me talking about the knee to the back of his neck caused the man from not being able to breathe. But Mr. Floyd admitted that he couldn't breathe when he was sitting in the car. That's why one of the reasons he didn't want to sit in the car. This man was probably dying. The fentanyl was shutting down his respirations. He could not breathe. And the meth had him hyper. So he was being pulled in two different directions. And there's even a medical article that talked about the fact that methamphetamine and fentanyl can be additive. In other words, methamphetamine can affect your breathing just as fentanyl can affect your breathing. So, Mr. Floyd, since he followed the protocol, and because Mr. Floyd asked to be put on the ground, and because the protocol requires him to put a knee on his neck, I don't see how he's going to be found guilty, and surely the other officers are not going to be found guilty. I mean, and like I said before, Mr. Chauvin has the inclination for sudden cardiac death. He has the phenotype for sudden cardiac death. And there's some reports that said the autopsy showed that he had cardiac condition at the autopsy, which was probably a result of long years of drug abuse and because of genetics. But my evaluation as to his cause of death is still the same. It's cardiac in nature and it's drug in nature. There's no way his breathing could be stopped by putting a knee on the back of his neck. And I like to say that, I am taking it upon myself to retract some of my statements regarding Mr. Chauvin. And I think the media and other people who have made mistakes in this case should be humble enough or big enough to admit that they were wrong in this situation. Uh, because Mr. Chauvin is not mentally ill enough that he's going to try to kill somebody out in public. Okay, it doesn't make sense. You know, he's not psychotic. He may be a little callous, but he's not psychotic. I mean, he's not crazy. I mean, he's not that crazy that he would try to harm someone with everybody looking. You know, with body cam, taking videos from his officer and his body cam too. I guess he had a body cam on, but one of them had a body cam on, filming everything. Okay, there's too many witnesses for Mr. Floyd to act like a murderer. It's too many cameras for him to act like he's taking out revenge. Okay, Mr. Floyd, according to the protocol, they had already called 911 for medical assistance because they knew this guy. I mean, he's uncontrollable. They couldn't do anything with him. They needed some medication for this guy. They needed medical assistance. And if ambulance was on the way, Mr. Floyd had already said he wanted to be on the ground. So, okay, that's where we're going to control him. We can't put him in the car. We can't take him downtown. We can't do what we need to do. He won't allow us. This man is resistant. He's resistant from beginning to the end. Okay? So, let's show some spiritual strength, people. Okay? If you jumped the gun, misdiagnosed this situation, or intentionally did it, you need to take responsibility for it. Because there are lives at stake. Like I said, this is a sad situation, people, that people will be out protesting during a pandemic, and especially in a situation that there's not really any reason to be protesting. Okay? So, let's everybody try to do the right thing. Like Spike Lee said, do the right thing. That's what's important. Okay? And I hope you people realize, let me explain something to you here. There's a left brain and there's a right brain. The left brain is the material side, the right side is the spiritual side. The people who are right brain dominant have an appreciation of the spiritual life, of the afterlife. Okay, and left brain people, if they are too left brain dominant, they have problems understanding the afterlife. They don't see any consequences for their actions. Okay, and that's like a child. Okay, children don't see consequences for their actions. So if you are left brain dominant solely, you are highly analytical, technological, but you don't have insight and you don't have a spiritual appreciation, and you tend to lack an appreciation for consequences for your actions. There is an afterlife, people, and there is reward and punishment for your behavior. It is real. It is as real as your right brain and as real as your left brain. The left brain is the physical, material world that we live in right now. But there is another world. It's just as real. Your right brain is a clue to it. Okay? Women are right brain dominant unless they have some mental illness. Okay? So women represent the spiritual life. Okay? And we need to start respecting the spiritual life. What appears to be weak physically in the material side is actually stronger in the spiritual side. Which is why Native Americans appreciated women, because Native American people are right brain dominant people, and they appreciate the spiritual life. So if you appreciate the spiritual life, you appreciate women. You appreciate love, kindness, and the ability to bring children into the world. Okay? You don't need to compare women to men. Women are sufficient in themselves. You don't need to have women going out to act like men to try to prove their worth. Their worth is already actually greater than men. Okay? Women have two X chromosomes. Men have one X and a defective X, which is a Y. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's the reality. Okay? Uh, Men are for protection, and women are the spiritual life, the home life. The universe is set up where the feminine solar system is the center of everything. Everything revolves around the mother and her child. Okay? All right, the earth is the uterus of the solar system. This is where all life exists, all human beings exist. Okay? So we are the children within the womb of the mother. Okay? And at some point in our existence in this plane, we're going to have to transition over to the spiritual plane. In other words, the womb is going to give birth. So we are fetal spirits right now. We're inside the womb of earth. And we're going to be born into the spiritual side. And you need to make preparations for that. And to start doing that, you need to start trying to do what's right with this situation, with this case in Minneapolis. You need to start doing right with this protest and stop instigating protest. I don't care how peaceful it is. You don't need to be protesting in a pandemic. Come on. Okay, just because they did it back in the 60s, okay, that was the 60s. They didn't have a pandemic. Okay? All right, people are going to die. They're dying. You see the spike. I told you it was going to happen. All right? We had coronavirus under control until the protesting started. And it was based on George Floyd, which has turned out to be a farce. Stand up, be a man, and take responsibility for what you did. Okay? All right? I'm the Modern Medicine Man, CGR Phenomics. Like my page, follow me, and I'll post some more updates when they come available, especially if they post some more of the video. But I don't see how that's going to change anything right now. But you might as well get ready for it. But the officers and Mr. Chauvin will probably be found innocent unless there's some underhanded stuff going on. All right, be safe, people. Be careful. Make sure you try to take care of your children and your parents in this pandemic. And let's get through this thing. Peace.